All. Friends or whatever. I didn't know who I could confide in because I didn't know how to explain what was happening to me.
Okay.
I resorted to Google.
Okay.
And they learned breathing techniques and how to kind of help myself when the panic attack happens.
Yeah.
And that's where it basically started for me. But the initial diagnosis happened in 2017 after my dad's passing.
Okay.
That's when I was diagnosed with bipolar depression and anxiety.
Okay.
And I think that's really where my mental health situation basically just took off.
Okay.
Because before I didn't think too much of it. Like, like the same way my mom would just brush it off, be like, oh, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's the same way I dealt with it when I was much younger. But then when I was formally, like properly diagnosed, that's when I was like, okay, I should maybe try to learn and figure out what's actually happening with me and my mind and my body and how I can, help myself to be better.
Yeah.
Because it was bad.
Of course. Because also consultations can become really, really expensive, right? Then you have to like Google, you have to Google the
That's
things.
The unfortunate part is that it's very expensive to get psychological help.
Yeah.
And to see psychiatrists, it's incredibly expensive, which is, I think, another thing that people shy away from trying to seek help when it comes to mental health, is because it's so expensive. No one has the money for it, and not many medical aids cover that.
Yeah.
So it's usually something that you have to pay out of your own pocket for.
Yeah.
And not everybody has the money for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I read a very, very interesting stat the other day that probably, I don't know how accurate it is, that only 9.9% of Black people in South Africa have medical aid. It could be more. I didn't verify the stat, but it's more or less, I can believe it.
It's very possible. I think it is very possible. I think now we're living in a pandemic, and things are bad financially and whatever. I think people are just at a point where they're just like willing to just roll a dice and see how things turn out, which is very unfortunate because it doesn't always benefit people. I mean, if you're lucky, then the dice ends up on a very good side, but if you're not, then
So take me through the process of self-diagnosis, because obviously we feel these things that we feel, right?
Yes. And I can tell you for a fact, self-diagnosis is the worst thing, because if you go on Google and you type in your symptoms, that thing will end up telling you that you have some kind of cancer. You literally type in there that, panic attack, or, your heart is beating fast and whatever. It'll tell you that you're having a heart attack. And the unfortunate part is, when people do experience things like that, they don't know that it's anxiety. So you Google your symptoms. And a lot of the symptoms that you get when you're having a panic attack mimic having an anxiety or having a heart attack. Sorry. They mimic having a heart attack and, loss of breath and whatever. So there are a lot of things that happen that can kind of fall into that spectrum, but really most of the time it's just a panic attack. But you don't know that that's what it is. So self-diagnosis, absolutely not. Don't do it. Do not go to Google and type in your symptoms and say shortness of breath, heart beating very fast. It'll tell you you're having a heart attack. And that does not help with your anxiety, because when it happens again, you're thinking you're having an anxiety. You're having a heart attack. So self-diagnosis, very normal. But I really would say that if you have the opportunity to speak to someone who can properly diagnose you, do that. And if you are feeling like you have shortness of breath and your heart is beating very fast, it's even more difficult now because a lot of the panic attack symptoms also mimic COVID symptoms. So the minute you start feeling like you can't breathe, you automatically think that you have COVID and all of that stuff. So if you do have access to maybe a friend or an aunt or an uncle who is somewhere associated with the medical world, ask them. Don't go to Google, because it will literally just scare you. I was going to use a word that I probably shouldn't say.
No, you can.
It will scare you shitless. Don't do it. Do not do it. Yeah.
So what do we have any structures in the country where people with or who are affected by mental health, they can do that, some sort of workshops, or like even online workshops?
I know there's a couple of helplines that you can call, but there's a page I know on Instagram. I'm not going to say the name because I kind of don't agree with the way that they operate. But there are helplines that you can call. I do though think that mental illness is not something that you can cure overnight. It's not something that you can cure with just calling someone on the phone and saying, hey, I feel sad or depressed or whatever. You have to have someone give you the tools. And Me personally, maybe they are out there, but I have not seen any workshops that are open to people freely. Most of the times you have to pay, you have to register, do this and do that. And people don't want to have to go through that process.
Yeah. Which then makes it very important with the choice that you make about the circles that you keep, right?
Right.
Because you don't want to have people that will put you down or who wouldn't listen to you when you're having these type of problems. You need to be fearless when you're discussing these, So personally, I have had a really, really great network of friends who encourage us to talk. And especially us as men, we hardly talk about our feelings, especially our mental state. So I think it's also important to have a network of friends that will actually encourage you, actually see the signs as well. That, hey, boy,
absolutely,
you're not the same guy. So what's the problem? Let us tell us what it is that you're feeling right now. You know what I mean? But it's not always the case. You know what I mean?
Unfortunately,
especially when you are in high school. You mentioned earlier on that you experienced these symptoms
from high school,
from high school,
as early as
you know what I mean,
grade 9,
and that's really, really young.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So how do these young people talk about these mental problems that they have? Because obviously they won't even recognize the signs, And us as a more progressive generation, if I have to put it that way, we need to be able to see it from them. You know what I mean? My sister is a 17-year-old. She's turning into a woman now. You know what I mean? I need to be able to recognize those problems. How do I recognize those problems from my standpoint, especially if I haven't experienced them?
Education.
Yeah.
I think what it really boils down to is education. I think one thing that I personally think that our syllabus sucks with is that they do not involve mental health as a module or even just one subject during the week at school. You want to maybe incorporate it into LO or whatever, life orientation. But that is the only way that people will know how to identify and deal with mental illness is if they're educated.
Yeah.
Because we have gone through decades of not speaking about mental illness. Only now does it come out. Unfortunately, the generation that comes after us, they can look up now to those of us who are prepared to speak about it and, feel comfortable and be like, okay, you know what? Maybe I can talk about it. But we didn't have that. So that's why it took so much longer for us to get to a point where we can talk about mental illness and say, you know what, look, I'm not okay. And maybe I need to see a psychologist or a psychiatrist. But it really just boils down to education. You cannot spot something that you know nothing about. So if you're not educated on the particular topic, you're not going to know it's happening. So everybody should be educated and everybody should have knowledge on mental illness and how to spot it and how to identify it, how to tell if someone is depressed. Sometimes people think that, I don't want to get out of bed. I'm probably just tired. No, sometimes it's probably because you're depressed.
Yeah.
Especially if it's something that's recurring, you know, for many days in a week, you're unable to get out of bed. You're feeling sluggish. You don't have any interest in doing things and you don't want to try new things. It's most likely because you're depressed. People just are like, well, maybe I'm just tired. I'll get over it. But you don't know because you're not educated on it. You don't have any knowledge. So the only way that people can identify things like this is if you are educated on it. And the unfortunate part is the only place you can find education on mental health is on Google. But how many people are open to actually just let me go on Google and be like, let me search what mental health symptoms are.
Yeah.
People don't do that.
But also, I've seen also a lot of things, especially on social media, because there's a lot of content being shared on social media. Where some page would say, "Feel what you feel, go through what you go through." You know what I mean? Would you say that's the right way to look at it? Because also, you might have to trick your mind into thinking positive thoughts, which you're really not feeling at that specific time. Do you think that's the right way to go about it?
No.
Okay.
I think the whole feel what you feel and narrative, it works.
Yeah.
For people who are able to get themselves out of a rut. Because here's the thing with depression, right? When you are depressed as a human being, you can't just snap out of it.
Yeah.
It's something in your mind. You're literally stuck in your thoughts. You can't move, and it like literally controls your entire life. Yeah. So you can't tell someone who is depressed to feel what they feel.
Okay.
Because they'll feel what they're feeling, but to get out of that feeling is very difficult. You need help. So the whole feel what you feel narrative, it works for a certain group of people. It doesn't work for everybody. It's very good to feel what you feel. Don't deny yourself your feelings. Feel what you feel. And if you are able to snap yourself out of that feeling, if you can award yourself one day of feeling completely sad and you don't want to do anything, and then the following day you snap out of it and you're back to being productive and you're working on, bettering yourself, then do that. But that doesn't work for everybody, especially not if you're depressed or bipolar or schizophrenic or whatever. It doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
So I agree with it to an extent, but it's not for everybody.
Do you think everybody experiences some sort of mental disorder at some point in their life?
Yes, absolutely. I think if there's one thing that everybody experiences, which is a mental thing, is anxiety. We all experience anxiety, whether it's going for a job interview and you're nervous, or you're about to go on your first date with a guy that you met on Tinder or Bumble or whatever. We all experience a different kind of anxiety, and that's a mental thing. Some people are fortunate enough to not have it take over their entire lives, whereas some people just get like really debilitating fears from it. So yes, I do think we all experience some kind of mental illness.
So this thing is like a flu of the mind.
Listen here, we've been growing up with it, dude. Our parents have experienced it. Our great-grandparents, we're experiencing it. Our kids are going to experiencing it. The only thing is we just need to figure out a way to better deal with it. Because I can tell you for a fact, my parents did a poor job.
Hey man, you turned out pretty well.
I mean, here I am.
Yeah. So now that being said, let's talk about the view of holistic wellness. You know what I mean? Because the body and the mind and the spirit, there needs to be a balance for a person to be whole, right? Not forgetting the financial part, of course, which mostly contributes to the anxiety and depression, because people are always thinking about money. What are your coping mechanisms? Let's talk about your physical activity. How is there a way that you've coped with your mental health through physical activity?
I think another thing that you didn't mention is medication. Because that's also another way to help you cope with your mental illness. I personally was on medication for my depression and anxiety for about 3.5 years.
Okay.
And so I was basically on a pill that helped me fall asleep.
Okay.
A pill that helped me manage my panic attacks.
Okay.
And then another pill that was kind of like I think an antidepressant of sort.
All right.
So obviously within those 3.5 years, I became super dependent on the medication.
Okay.
And I think that's my one problem with that part of mental health. Yes, people need to go on medication, but I don't think it should get to a point where you're dependent on it. Because when I got off that medication, it was a struggle because I had to now adjust to a different way of living. So that's when I started going to the gym. I started meditating. I started going to yoga, going on walks, doing things that kind of stimulated my mind and also tired me out so much that in the evening when it was time to sleep, I'm able to sleep. So it could be gym, reading, going for walks. But there's just like different ways to help. For me, it was gym. And I just buried myself in the gym.
Really? What did you have any particular exercise that you...
Squats.
Really?
Naturally. Who doesn't want to have a bigger butt? Obviously, I did squats and I did like a lot of ab work because I was like, I want to, give myself my dream body, which is really the goal now, I used to be very consistent and then COVID happened and I kind of slipped back into my depressive state. So I didn't go to the gym as much. I didn't, I wasn't as active as much as I used to be pre-COVID.
Okay.
But, now I'm kind of getting back into it and getting back into the gym and eating right and doing all of that stuff. And it's crazy because people think that every day no, that stuff affects you.
Yeah, of course.
It really does affect you mentally, like eating burgers and shit every day. It doesn't work.
Actually, let's pause on that a minute because we're gonna get back to that one.
Okay.
Nutrition. Your media, where you are.
Don't forget to catch intimacy coach Tracy Zimmerman-Jacobs as she explores the ins and outs of sexual intimacy every week with her guests on Totally Not Taboo with Tracy, a sex-positive, informational journey into intimacy for people looking to improve their intimate connections with self and or with others. Subscribe on YouTube, listen on any good podcast platform, iTunes or Spotify, or simply find us on www.yourmedia.co.za. Your Media, where you are.
Your media, where you are.
Okay, yeah. Let's get back to that chat. Yamakwenya.
Because
also that stems from a relationship that you form with food, right? And that's the relationship that you form at a very, very young age.
True.
From the hood. I mean, there was Paula's just down the road.
Literally. And it's still my favorite place to go eat.
And those fat cakes are really, really addictive. Like especially when it's cold.
Oh my God.
You'd stand in a queue. You know what I mean?
Oh.
So obviously once you get older and you start experiencing these the mental issues or physical issues, right? That's when you start to have that's when you have a decision to make, And I'm not saying having them once in a while is a bad thing, because I'm not going to stop anyone from having makwenya.
No, you shouldn't.
I for one, and I'm a trainer, I'm not going to tell my client that, hey, makwenya is perfect, Kajang makwenya, Joe. Just now, this guy is just like, this guy just... I'm just saying, man, just reduce the portions, man, or reduce the amount of time that you, the amount of portions that you take.
Yeah, portion control.
Portion control, exactly. So tell me about how that relationship looked for you with food, specifically.
The one thing that I have noticed is I feel at the top of my game when I follow my diet to the T.
Okay.
And when I say top of my game, I don't mean I eat greens and salads and leaves and whatever every single day and I'm at the top of my game. No. Yeah. Every now and again, I'll have like a burger, like once a week, I'll have, I'll award myself a burger for the hard work that I've done. But eating burgers and chicken licky and all of this every single day, it's very detrimental, not only to your health. Yeah. Yes, you could get a heart attack if you have too much oil and whatever, but it also does something to your mind. You develop this relationship with food, and it's sometimes people don't even notice it. It's like literally in the back of your mind. When you eat a certain type of food, it gives you a certain type of feeling, and you get addicted to that feeling. And that's why it is difficult when you want to switch from eating unhealthy to eating healthy food, is because you already have such a mental relationship with the food that you were eating before. It gave you a certain type of feeling. And now you have to let go of that feeling and try to find it somewhere else. It's like leaving a relationship. You break up with your boyfriend, it's terrible. Now you have to start talking stages with somebody else and all of that stuff. It's literally the same thing with food. So people need to keep in mind that it's not a lie when they say what you put into your body is what, it shows. It shows onto your skin, the way that you think, the way that you act, and, your energy levels. It's literally food.
Yeah.
So.
I agree with you 100%. So since I've started these podcasts, everybody knows that I'm not a big fan of dieting. I don't do diets. I don't recommend them to my
diets.
I don't recommend them to my clients because they're unsustainable.
That's true.
Because you diet for 21 days and then what happens after 21 days?
True. That is very true.
You can't be losing weight.
It's a lifestyle thing. You have to somehow find ways to incorporate it into your life, like gradually.
Yeah.
not something you can just do overnight.
Sometimes I get some backlash. You allow your clients to have a burger? Hell yeah. I'll have it with them. And a beer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because you can't just unteach something that someone has learned for like years.
Yeah.
In like 21 days.
Yeah.
Or in a day, or in 3 weeks, or 5 weeks. It takes time. It's
Yeah.
something that you have to teach to somebody, and it doesn't work overnight. And I think that's the unrealistic part that people have, is that they think, okay, I'm going to eat for 21 days, and after that, great, I'm good. Yes, it does take 21 days to form a habit, but you do kind of fall back into old patterns every now and then. Like you slip in, you slip back, and sometimes the slip back is permanent. No sajima guenya for 21 days. Waleja fela one. Get day 22 and then you're gone. And it's late.
So let's talk about, so you said you started training a lot, you know?
Yes.
Let's talk about why you started, because obviously it was for mental health issues. But then let's talk about health versus aesthetic.
Right.
Is there a difference between why you were doing it then and to why you're doing it now?
Absolutely. When I started, I actually started because I was dating a gym freak.
Okay.
That's the only reason I started. Yeah. I got a whole Virgin Active membership and I was like, I'm going to train with my man.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
And that's why I started. And I noticed then I wasn't as consistent and I wasn't putting in as much effort. I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like, well, babe, can we go? You know, it's like 45 minutes. I'm like, oh, I want to leave. I'm so over this.
Yeah.
And then we broke up.
Okay.
And I still knew gym to be like a thing that I did.
Yeah.
But then when I went, I didn't have anyone to like show me how to squat or show me how to do this. So I had to learn the gym on my own. So it was literally like my first day at gym. And that's when I started attending classes and I started attending boot camps, and I would find trainers at the gym and be like, listen, can you just show me if my form is right? And, you know, to help me work the machine and whatever. That's when gym started taking a turn for me.
Yeah.
And I was not doing it for someone else. I was doing it for myself because I started developing a certain amount of, I don't know, like love for it. You know, it was tough, but the fact that I could go to the gym and do that many squats and do that many leg raises and do that many sit-ups and push-ups and whatever, and I could get through that 1 hour just made me feel amazing. Because even after that, like you have adrenaline just pumping through your body and it feels good. And I think the whole gym aesthetics versus reality thing just stems from the fact that social media has made it seem like you achieve a certain type of body once you've gone to the gym many times, right? So you go to the gym and you have the little Brazilian butt and your boobs are perky and whatever. But sometimes those girls go to therapy and they go to surgery. Sorry, they do surgery and they have to go to the gym so as to maintain what they already have, you know, what they bought. So there's like a certain line, or I don't know if it's like a barrier that is sick. I don't know what it is, but like a part that is not shown to the public that is realistic, that you have to work for your body, but going to the gym 10 times a week or 50 times a week and, you know, doing all of that stuff, it doesn't change your body. It molds your body to what your body already is. You're not going to suddenly have like the small waist and thick ass and whatever if that's not your body type. So there's a certain misunderstanding that a lie that social media sells to people. And I think that's what I started realizing for myself was I wanted a certain body type. And I was like, but I'm looking at someone who doesn't even have the same body type as myself. And that's my body goals. It's never going to happen. Unless if I go to a doctor and I'm like, okay, listen, give me that body.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think people need to get to a point where they understand that certain things aren't a certain way, but also you have to understand it yourself. No one can make you see it if you don't want to see it.
I should hire you to become my motivator whenever I get a new client.
Yes. Yes.
Because you know what happens.
You're willing to pay me.
I will share. We'll split dog. 10, 90.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
10%.
A little motivation.
It's not bad.
Right?
Just for me to be like, girl,
ain't gonna
those
happen.
goals that you're looking for, not even your body type.
Because that's usually what we get, right? Even for like from males, you know, they come to you with a picture and be like, "Hey, dog, some of bodies are made in winter." You know, that time you can see that it's not going to happen.
You are skinny as a motherfucker, and you want to look like The Rock by the end of summer.
Exactly.
Come on, dude.
I mean? I want to look.
Let's be realistic.
I want to look like that. I'm like, whew. And I'm honest enough not to take them on as a client. I won't even be. I'll be like,
dog. Kudos to you.
I'll be like, dog. If that's what you expect from me, actually show me somebody who promised you that you can do that.
Yeah.
And then I'll pay them for you.
Yeah, because it's unrealistic. Right? You can't do it.
Right. So the Hollywood, so they used to call them Hollywood bodies. Now they're Instagram bodies, you know? This trend started a long time ago. And I know that with me as well. That's how it started. I used to watch Van Damme and you know, and
what about Jackie Chan?
Yeah, like not exactly Jackie Chan because he was a bit on the small side. Like I used to look at his blade and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm like,
dog, they were hot.
I wanna look like that guy.
Yep.
You know, but also I tell people that my health and fitness story is very, very basic and it's boring. You know, I started off as an athlete. And I played semi-professional.
Oh, so you've just always been
so it's really, really boring, you know?
So it's just been part of your life for a very long time.
It's always been part of my life, you know what I mean? And I've got good genes because my dad actually imprinted these. Yeah, my dad is a genius, guys. You guys don't.
Must be so nice.
My dad was a genius.
Good genes, but
I didn't like it because I'd be 11 in the gym just like,
yeah. Yeah.
You know?
I feel you.
Until I fell in love with it. But I see as well that the impact that it has right now, especially in social media, because also I follow a lot of these guys as well. You know what I mean? And they're always posting videos of themselves training, gym,
rent paid,
hashtag, and that puts a lot of pressure. And I've been encouraged to do it. I'm like, hey, dog, why don't you do this? And I really didn't want to follow that mold because I really wanted to share my content in a different way.
Right.
You know what I mean? I wanted to spread the knowledge by bringing people like you as well to tell us their story because you've been through a lot and you have your own personal journey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So tell me about how this whole mishmash of things has improved your quality of life. Because obviously you will see an improvement, right? If you follow a certain way that you want to live.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Has there been an improvement for you, the quality of life, the company that you keep?
It definitely has been like quite a bit. Prior to me going to the gym, I was a mess.
Yeah.
And I went to the gym and I don't know what it is about going to gym and finding that like one thing that works for me that just brought me some kind of peace. And I don't know if it trained my mind. So even when I'm not going to the gym, because I haven't been to the gym in a while, but I haven't fallen back into the depression, I've been able to focus on other things that bring me that kind of peace almost. It's not the same, but just focusing on your health gives you a sense of broadening your mind basically to things that could help you, you know. People who never thought to go to the gym and then they go to the gym and it's like, oh, well, damn, this works, you know? And then after that, you're like, maybe let me try reading. Maybe let me try cycling. Maybe let me try going to the zoo. I don't know.
Or hiking.
You know, like hiking, you know, whatever works. It just like literally opens your mind to trying different things because I was never a gym person. And my psychiatrist was a person who said to me, maybe try working out, you know, because it does, there's endorphins that are released in your mind and whatever. So it has changed my quality of life. It's changed the way that I look at things. Initially, I would be the type of person to, if I'm like, I live in a complex, right? Yeah. And across the road, there's a shopping center. Literally a couple of steps.
Yeah.
Old me would Uber. I would literally Uber there because I'm like, I want to walk, you know?
Yeah.
But because now I've started training, it's like, it's an extra couple of steps, it's like a little bit of an exercise. So I go the walking route than I, as opposed to Ubering, and it helps. It's literally the small things. You don't have to go to the gym to exercise. You could take walks, you can go on hikes, you can run on the side of the road, cycle. There's a lot of things that you can do that are exercise, that are, rent paid vibes. You don't have to physically be inside Virgin Active and Planet Fitness in order for you to pay your rent. There's a lot of things, and it's really just up to people to find what works with them. Dabble in a couple of things. You go to Virgin Active and it doesn't work for you, it's fine. Cancel your membership, babe. Go start taking walks on the side of the road. Go cycling. Go on hikes. If that's your thing, then do hikes every Saturday. Opt for walking to the shopping center as opposed to Ubering there, or driving there. There's a lot of things that you can try. You just have to find something that works for you.
I agree with that 100%. Because, listen, gyms aren't for everyone.
No,
you know what I mean?
Not at all.
I don't even go to the gyms. Most of the time, I'm just working out at home.
Yeah.
Gyms used to be.
But that's the thing with COVID as well. Like, it showed people you can work out from home. But that's one thing it showed me. I cannot work out at home for shit. I need to see people dying while, like doing leg presses and dumbbells. And I need to see you go. So I can be like,
inspiration.
We're both dying. We are both going through it, my brother. Let's do it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It forms as some kind of inspiration for me personally.
Yeah. So also what I've noticed as well is the new trend, especially Kokasi, like when you go back to DK, you see a lot of people on their bikes cycling. I see a lot of people running.
Yeah. They have like running clubs and stuff.
They've got like serious
Which is
training.
so dope.
It is so great.
It's really, really dope.
Yeah. So I think COVID in some way was an advantage. People took it and they were like, listen.
People were forced to find things to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, you met yourself for the first time. This is the first time you, oh,
I can run.
Shit.
Damn.
Is this me?
Damn. How the fuck?
So tell me, dog, what's next for you? So what's in the health and the mental health activism spectrum?
So I don't know how I can tell this without like giving too much, but I have basically seen a gap that there are people who are unable to afford mental help, like psychologists and psychiatrists. And I really do feel like it should be free. It should be an NGO type thing where at least every township should have access to free medical, what's the word that I'm looking for? Mental health help.
Okay.
So my goal is to basically finish my psychology degree.
Okay.
And open a practice that people don't have to pay for the services. I do have a plan. I don't want to say just now somebody's listening here and they're like, oh, that's a good plan. I'm going to steal that shit. No. But I do have a plan. But I want to get to a point where I'm able to give people free mental health help. And you don't have to pay thousands. Because for a psychology session, realistically, you're paying 1,000 rand.
Of course.
And that's just one session.
Yeah.
Nobody has just 1,000 rand. That's groceries for other people. You know what I mean? Exactly. That's petrol for somebody else. So I want to be able to provide people with a service that's going to help them mentally and they don't have to pay for it.
That is really very, very.
That is my ultimate goal.
But okay, you don't have to tell me.
That's our plan. Plan it out or somewhere.
Get that shit.
But that is the goal. I feel like that is my purpose in life. I've tried many things and just like doing stuff like this, talking about mental health and, going to hospitals and helping and doing like my hours and stuff.
Yeah.
That like gives me so much joy just to see people overcoming their mental health it's just fucking amazing. And to see people actually coming out and saying, I need help is just so dope because.
Yeah. We're going to touch on that one a little bit. Let me just do this again.
Your media, where you are.
Don't forget to catch intimacy coach Tracy Zimmerman-Jacobs as she explores the ins and outs of sexual intimacy every week with her guests on Totally Not Taboo with Tracy, a sex-positive information journey into intimacy for people looking to improve their intimate connections with self and or with others. Subscribe on YouTube, listen on any good podcast platform, or simply find us on www.yourmedia.co.za. Your Media, #where you are. So, how would you encourage people to come out? Because people still don't talk about their mental health issues, right? And also, you spoke about recognizing the signs, yes,
Right.
but how do you encourage someone to do? Because you might recognize the signs and be like, hey, dude, you really, really need to address this. And somebody would be like, hey, Joe, for a sec, you don't tell me how I feel.
Basically, just find someone that you're comfortable with. It doesn't have to be someone in your family or friend groups or whatever. You could literally find DM me. That's literally the first step. Send someone that you think you can trust. I for a fact would not post people's DMs about mental health. I receive a lot. So DM me or find people who are on social media that are, mental health. There's more than one me. So find someone who is prepared to help, like a doctor or something, even if it's not even a mental health doctor. Just text it, but someone that you feel comfortable and someone that you can trust. So if it's your mom, your friend, your best friend, your aunt, a stranger from like down the road, as long as you're getting it out there, just don't bottle it in, because that's when you become a ticking time bomb. And by the time you explode, it's too late to help you, So just speak to someone that you trust.
So you're getting the right type of DMs. You're not getting those.
Oh, yeah, no. Oh, no, I get the other ones.
Oh, you get that?
The unsolicited ones. Oh, my God. Oh. If it weren't for the right DMs, I would never go through my DM requests because it's a mess there.
Really?
Yeah. I have to look, because the thing is, I have to look through all of them to see which one is like asking for help. Then I open one and there's like an unsolicited picture and I'm like, oh,
pictures even. I wasn't even, geesh. No, man, but I commend you for opening yourself up like that. You know what I mean? People really, really need an outlet to talk about these things. You know what I mean? As I said before, I'm fortunate enough to have a circle of friends that I can talk to. I also see therapists. But yes, times are tough. We all go through the anxiety, depression stage. And also, some of us more mildly than others, I have to say, right? Because some people really, really experience it in a much more intense way than others.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we have to take that into consideration and be empathetic towards those people.
Sure.
Right? We have touched on almost everything, I think. Unless there's something you want to add?
When there is time to touch on this, we need to also be empathetic to our parents and our grandparents because they didn't know mental health. And, there are some things that they do that contribute to someone being mentally ill. But they don't know that they're doing it because they've probably been going through it all their lives, but they didn't know. So there's a bit of amount of empathy that should be awarded to our parents and our grandparents because they also don't know any better. Mental illness is only something that's recently been spoken about. So it's easier said than done, but don't put too much blame or anger onto your parents because also the more you do that, that's something that you have to carry with yourself. So forgive them when you are ready and able to, but don't carry that burden because it's not doing anything for you. It's only setting you back.
Because that burden could be like a foundation for the initial problems that you're going to get, right? Down the road.
Yeah.
Because I agree with that 100%. Most of us were angry at our parents. We know our parents were just trying to protect us.
Literally. They were doing what they know.
Exactly. They were raising us the way that
they were raised.
I think that's where things like social media are very advantageous for us because now, or not even just social media, technology as a whole, because now we have something at Google, right, at our fingertips. You know what I mean? And you can actually gain this information. You can just log on to YouTube.
Literally.
And study.
If you want to learn, you will find ways to learn, because there are literally so many platforms that you could look into and you can find whatever it is that you're looking for. There's podcasts, there's Google, there's Instagram, everything.
Yeah.
If you're looking for information, you will find it. It's literally there at your fingertips.
It's actually like basically just searching for the right content.
Yeah.
Because there's content that could really, really hurt you, and there's content that is really, really good for you.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Kamo Semenya.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
People find you on the socials?
On Instagram and Twitter, I am at Kamo Semenya.
At Kamo Semenya.
Okay.
You have a toll-free line. Must people call you?
Let's come for please.
Not yet.
Yeah. Still too early. Still trying to get there. Go let's come for Just send me a DM. Send me a DM.
Yeah.
I'll respond.
Okay, everybody, that's it for this episode of the Health Fix with Mo, your weekly fix of your health and fitness knowledge to get you started on your health and fitness journey. And today we were chatting to Kamo Semenya about her mental activism journey. Thank you for those who joined us live. If you didn't listen live, you can listen to this podcast on yourmedia.co.za or catch it on Spotify and iTunes. Peace out. See you guys next week.
Bye.
Get ready, steady, and let's set those body goals. The Health Fix with Mo, a body and mind journey towards a healthier you. Your media, where you are.